life of service.
Is it good?
She found us with lunch lady. She loved serving, helping wherever she could. So she needed a summer gig, and we were it. Once we had her, we didn't want to let her go. She served as a wonderful caregiver for several years. We brought her into the office. She did both for a while. And she served so well. As our care manager, taking care of so many things. We're missing her. And for last year. She continued her wonderful life of service. Feeding little kids, she was serving seniors. Took care of both ends. How many years has she been with us? Big hole in our hearts today. We know that she would want us to continue her service to seniors. We thought a little bit about, now, do we cancel this in service or not? What would Belinda want? Well, she'd want us gathered together. They want us to be here. Help rally each other. Keep us moving forward, taking care of our clients. The best job we can. We had an in-service years ago that taught me something that I still keep with me today. And it's something that looks like we'll be talking about with Dana. I'll give you my 2 bits of wisdom before I leave. Got a doctor's appointment. Seats up front. And it's basically how we deal with loss. The older we live, the more loss we have to deal with. So all of our clients deal with a lot of loss, don't they? In various ways, whether you lose your hearing, that's loss. You lose the ability to help yourself in different ways. Your activities of daily living, that's what we focus on mostly in helping our clients have a higher quality of life. Different types of loss. Most painful, I think, of course, is losing a loved one. And so we'll go over these 10 items with Dana. And just remember the 3 T's. The 3 T's of dealing with loss. That is talking, time, and tears. Here to talk it out, to cry it out, and just to bottle it all. Most of you know me quite well. Been going strong with Aspen since 2004. The largest personal care agency of our type here in the valley. We like to say the biggest and the best. But it's only the best because how well each of you serve. Such good care. We thank you for doing it, making a difference in their lives. I'm still dealing with lung cancer and find other treatments from myself. Trying to get on some trial studies. It went back in June and it about took me under. So, okay. Something different. Belinda and Tori and Susan have been our three mainstays here in the office. Our three pillars to hold us up. Missing Belinda in a big way. We appreciate all of you stepping up and making it happen right now. Understanding what we're all going through. Got things covered pretty well with scheduling, but it impacted multiple people. It's COVID. We'll keep fighting the good fight. Keep serving our seniors. Doing the work that, in a way, we've been called to do. We get to bode well for all of us. Someday when we stand at the judgment bar, the good Lord says, "What did you do with your children?" Say that we did our best to serve those around us, make their lives better. And I'm expecting that we'll stand up for each other and say, yeah, I'll vouch for her any day of the week. Keep fighting the good fight and keep serving with all your hearts, making the world a better place. And Belinda will dare to get things prepared for our great reunion. All of us will be great. That's more time. We are going to try to do a little Christmas party, call it a Christmas dinner. We'll do dinner on a Monday night. We'll do Monday instead of the first Monday. A lovely little dinner, and we'll just do the nativity narration with some harp music. Harp with Christmas. Just beautiful place. Hopefully you come and enjoy it. COVID virus will be Susan, I'll let you introduce Dana a little bit more, but Dana's been a friend of ours for a long time. She's one of our favorite personalities. She's got lots of wisdom to share. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Gary. We love your appointment. We love you, Gary. We love you, Gary.
I love everyone.
We know that.
Well, that was for you. Any day of the week. Appreciate it. It's good, man. Margaret's a little new. Maybe you haven't met her. Amy's new to me too. So, Susan, any new ones? Let's get to know them a little bit better if we can.
Good luck. Thank you. Bye, Gary. This is Dana. I know her as Mutch. And that's the one I always remember.
No, that really is my name.
Okay. Anyway, she's been with Symbii for many years. And worked as an RN with Hospice. And is an amazing woman and individual like hers. And we have been thrilled to have her as part of what we do over the years and dealing with hospice clients that she's brought us into, or vice versa. And so we'd like to turn the time over to Dana and let her share some of the things that she likes to help people relate to it, especially with what we're looking at right now with Belinda. So thanks, you guys.
Not everybody got your handout.
Here's one.
How many do we need? I'll go make some. Anyone else?
I got a message from Teresa yesterday, kind of giving me a heads up of what was happening with Belinda, and then a call this morning that, with the news that she had passed away. And Susan just said, I know it's really short notice, but would you be willing to swap out the topic for today? I was going to speak on, and I'm going to try and integrate it a little bit into this too, but the power of human touch. And so I'm just going to ask everybody to turn around and give somebody a hug right now, and just like a big fat hug. Right now with the pandemic going on. Everybody get one? I did a lot of research for the power of touch to do your in-service today, and I was just really shocked at some of the studies that I read on the importance of the power of touch, and just how we're in a crisis right now as far as touch deprivation with COVID happening. We're all wearing masks and we can't see facial expressions, and we're doing the social distancing, and everything's become digitized where we're talking on the phone and we're doing Zoom meetings and FaceTimes, and we're taking the humanness out of our need to be human.
It sucks.
You're right, it sucks. But more than ever, you guys are a family. I know, because I work with a family of people, and you go through a lot of experiences together in your caregiving situations, and now you're going through losing a coworker, which is huge. You lost a family member last night. And so remember that when you're seeing each other in passing, and we're going to go over these 10 ways to cope with losing a loved one. But just when you're seeing each other in the office, try to implement some sort of a touch, a hug, a touching the arm, holding a hand. You guys can wash your hands or whatever, but that after reading the studies that I've done, the chemicals that are released into our bodies by just touching somebody's arm, and we're just in a crisis right now. So hug the ones you love at home, hug your friends, and if you don't have very many people around you, come into the office, and it's okay to ask for a hug. I'm sure there's tons to go around here. So after doing this, I'm going to be overly affectionate with my touch, just because of how much everybody needs it right now. So, and I just mentioned this to Gary up front, but and this might sound a little bit weird to say so soon after Belinda's passing, but Gary going through his cancer, I really admired his silver lining. Somebody else mentioned that to him. Yeah. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and he's always saying the positive things that are coming out of his situation, which is very negative. People looking in, oh my gosh, Gary's got cancer, and they're looking in and thinking how awful that must be. But here he is voicing all of the beautiful things that are happening in his life because he went through this experience. He's going through this experience. And so I'm going to ask for you all right now to find a silver lining in this experience that you're going through right now, and maybe how you can implement it into your everyday as a caregiver. And I use the example of me going through a pretty bad divorce a couple of years, but after I went through that, I was able to look at my situation and see where I could be a difference in other women going through the same situation that I went through, and being able to walk them through that or hold their hand and maybe make their experience a little bit nicer than what mine was. But in this happening with Belinda, you know, you guys are all caregivers and will know other people that lose close family and friends, and maybe going through this experience and as a team and as a family can find a silver lining to help somebody be able to go through that maybe. So let's go ahead and talk about these 10 ways to cope with death of a loved one. How many of you guys have lost a loved one? You lost one last night. It's really hard to find somebody who hasn't been affected by death, right? I actually met a lady the other day in her 80s who had never seen a dead person before, and that shocked me. But there are some people, maybe a younger person hasn't been affected by somebody passing, but now you can say for sure. But anyway, I'm going to use my mother as an example of how I watched the grieving process happen in my family. My mother, being a hospice nurse, my mother went on hospice care, and I had done all this education about grief and how to cope with it with all my patients for years. And then here I was going through it myself on hospice with my mom. And I got to be the observer in my family and watch how everybody did their grief so differently. My sister became very busy and just trying to get tasks accomplished, and my other sister kind of slept a lot and wasn't really social. She just kind of kept to herself. My brother was he was trying to micromanage everything in the situation, and my dad really checked out, and that was hard for me. I was angry at my family because they weren't sitting next to my mom being hyper vigilant, and my mom's going to pass away, and why wouldn't they be right doing what I wanted to do to grieve my mother passing. But after that experience of going through that with my mother, I realized everybody grieves so authentically. And there's no right or wrong way to grieve. Everybody does it differently, and it's okay. And the thing about that is just realizing maybe what your grief style is. It's okay to go take those naps, or it's okay to keep your mind busy and just work through it. I agree with Gary, the 3 T's, the tears, the time, and the talking, yes, are very appropriate. And you'll find your time of when that is appropriate, and your grief will creep up on you. It's going to go in little bits of waves. My mom's been gone for 15 years now, and I still well up with tears when I think of a memory or whatever. Something will just click, you know, and you'll have that little wave of grief. So I just want you to know that there's no wrong way to grieve, and everything you're doing is very perfect. So you've got a big group of people here, and everybody's going through the same thing in some respect of losing Belinda, but in the other respect that you're going to do it all very differently. Okay. So number 1, give yourself the time. There's a reason that they say, and I would even wager to say that it might take about a year. You know, there's a reason they say that, just the right amount of time. A year is about what time it takes to go through a divorce or a loved one passing. It just, I don't know why it's not a perfect amount of time that they've done studies, and that's just about the time that it takes to really get through losing somebody that you love. Let your heart, not your head, determine how you feel. Everyone grieves differently at their own pace. So share your thoughts. I don't know how communicative you guys are with each other as caregivers, but I recommend that you get a buddy system going and have some people that maybe on your team or friends or family that you trust and rely on, that you can call when you are having a hard time. And this isn't only for Belinda, because I know you guys go through this all the time with your people that you spend so much time with and lose. So having, as a hospice nurse for 17 years, I have had a group of people that I can just call at any given time when I'm having a hard day, or I need to just throw up all over them and tell them about how sad I am. And I love my people on purpose. And I know you guys do too. And loving people on purpose is exactly why we're in this field of work. We're here to make a difference in their lives. And so, but having a buddy system or people that you trust that you can just call and say, I'm having a hard time today, can we talk about this? So that's really important. And I know that with Susan and Teresa in the office, that anybody here would take your phone call if you just needed to talk. So take care of yourself. So getting good rest. All of us as caregivers, I've noticed a trend that we all go above and beyond, and it seems like we take care of ourselves very last. We worry about everybody else, and then we're at number 10 on the list of 10. So really look after yourself. Going through this grief process can be emotionally wearing and physically wearing, mentally wearing if you're thinking about it a lot. And just trying to do good self-cares, things that will help nurture your body, like eating good foods and getting good rest, taking a bubble bath, or maybe a meditation, something that would offer you a spiritual recharge, something like that. So really taking care of yourself is important. Exercise was on there too. Journaling. I've had a lot of experience with journaling since my divorce, but I found that and everybody journals differently, I'm sure, but when I journaled before, I would always write down what I want, what I think people might read in the future. Don't we all do that when we write in our journal? Like, we're worried about what my kids are going to think after I'm dead or whatever, you know? And so, but I changed out the way that I journal now.
That's candy coating it kind of.
We always candy coat it, and it's because we're always worried about what if somebody finds our journal, what will they think? Crazy.
Yeah.
So I watched a podcast once that was called Morning Pages, and I journaled this way. Now it's called Writing Your Morning Pages. But writing out everything just unfiltered, using swear words if you swear, or just writing the anger and the frustration, the sadness. I'm so mad that this happened. And just letting the pages have it. Like there was a person that you just really wanted to give them what for in front of you, and you're just letting them have it. Unfiltered, just saying, don't worry about punctuation or anything. And the reason that these morning pages work when you do it that way, watching another podcast, I'm a nerd, so I watch them all the time, but there's this monk that I watched, and he said that really was important to me. He said that people don't feel like when they put their words onto paper that it means anything. And the example that he gave when he was talking to the fellow on the podcast was, he said, well, let's take, for example, that your daughter is in kindergarten and she gives you this beautiful picture that she spent all day for you. And he said, would you take that beautiful picture and rip it up and throw it in the garbage? And the guy goes, no. And he said, why wouldn't you do that? And he goes, because it's from my daughter and she put a lot of time and energy and emotion into that. And it's the same with our words. We're able to release its energy. We put that onto paper and it's a good form of release for us to be able to put that into writing, even though we don't feel like it's making a difference. Getting that out onto the paper is actually a form of expressing its energy. So that's really important. Journaling is awesome. Writing a letter to Belinda, I think it's an awesome idea, and just getting a chance to really tell her this has been over the last 2.5 weeks. It's been unexpected for all of you. You're not, there were a lot of unsaid words possibly, or feelings that you would want to say to her. And just like I gave in the past example of journaling, this gives you an opportunity to express that emotion and release instead of bottling it up inside. So take a trip down memory lane. I talked to Susan before this. I called our chaplain on the way here because I know Belinda too, and she's an awesome lady, and I've worked with her. I remember when Aspen Senior Care opened. So this hit home for me too, because I care a lot about you guys, and I've known Jerry and Susan and Belinda. So I've been here a lot doing in services over the years. So yeah, it was a big surprise, you know, to hear that. But when I called the chaplain, because I asked her, I said, what would be the most important thing that I could offer you today? And she said she felt like giving you guys the opportunity to share and talk. And so I offered maybe doing a memorial service for Belinda just for you guys here. So maybe we could arrange that and come and just do a celebration of life for her, and then giving you guys an opportunity to go down memory lane and just have that time, okay? I was telling Susan, I said it's harder going to a funeral because, you know, we're there, the family's chosen what to say, what the songs will be, and it's not really the same. And the family of Belinda getting to work with her, getting that time. So we'll get together and arrange something and let you guys know, okay? And I think that would be awesome. It would be awesome for me to be able to come. And the tears, being able to cry and release that emotion. Susan and I were also talking earlier, and just how I said everybody grieves so differently. He and I are the same, that we don't necessarily always want to cry in public, and not that that's a bad thing, it's just not our thing. And so crying, it can happen anywhere, in your car, if you hear a song. I always go, for 17 years I've been a hospice nurse, and I've lost so many people I love so much, and it's harder for me sometimes to be able to cry when I'm sad. So I cry on purpose, like Steel Magnolias will get me every time if I plug it in, and Beaches with Bette Midler. But I pick a sad movie on purpose so that I get to tear up and cry, because that release is really good, and I can't cry on demand anymore. So, but I pick that time, and I pick a sad movie on purpose so that I can just get that release. So that's a little trick that I do. If crying doesn't come so easily to everybody.
I would do that when I was going through my divorce, so that it wouldn't happen in the middle of the day while I'm at work,
Perfect.
trying to do something else and be human.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I'd make sure that I had each day I had to cry, and then it became every other day. Week and month, and now it's gone.
Yeah. But
It's meet yourself.
share your memories, just like I talked about getting a buddy system going, a support system for yourselves. Just keeping Belinda alive by sharing memories about her. I do that with my mother. I hang out with my auntie a lot so that she'll tell me stories about when my mom was younger, when she was vivacious, when she was dating, when she was a character, you know, and that kind of keeps my mom alive around me. And our family gatherings, so we sit around and talk about mom, you know, so, but I think sharing memories, and I'm sure there's 14 years of memories with Aspen, you know, and I loved hearing that she was a lunch lady. I think that's so cool. So anyway, I can see that about her. But sharing your memories and then finding the support, we already kind of talked about that. Just I know 100,000% that you guys have the support here. So please, if you're feeling grief or need to talk, come on in and just, I know that they'll spend the time here with you if you're having a hard time. And then number 10, be gentle with yourself. It's okay with anybody that you've lost, anyone that you've been caregiving for, anyone that's close to you that you've lost. Just give yourself time. Like I said, there's no right or wrong way to grieve, but the time really is, it plays a big, huge factor into it all.
If I could just add, I went to a grief class right after my brother-in-law died, and the couple, she was a hospice nurse and he was and they had lost their teenage son. And they said before they lost him, they would always tell people a year, 18 months. And they said, now that we have gone through this loss personally, 2, maybe even longer, they realized that 1 year just might not be even close.
It's about the average, but you really can't put a time frame on grief. And if you find that you're 5 years down the road and you're still really grieving about the same thing, then that's probably an appropriate time, maybe even 2 years, to maybe go talk to somebody a little bit more professional that can help you cope better. So, but there really is no time frame. Like I said, my mom's been gone 15 years and I still, some days I'm a wreck. So anyway, does anybody have any questions?
I lost my mom 7 years ago, and I found her dead in my house. And it was so, and I'm getting so emotional all the time. They always
Absolutely.
live in my mind.
Our moms are kind of our security blankets, aren't they?
Yeah.
But Belinda's certainly going to be missed. And I know she has a whole boatload of memories and experiences and relationships in this room. So anyway, we'll get together with Susan and plan a little memorial service for her, okay? And maybe you guys will, that'll give you a chance to collect your thoughts and maybe think about what you'd like to say to celebrate her. Well, thank you for letting me come today, you guys.
Thank you so much. All of the things that you shared are invaluable things to know, to bring into